I'm recording this,
and
everyone.
we're waiting to hear. You have no permission to record my voice.
I'm absolutely recording you.
You
out
have
in the
no
public.
permission. Is that
I'm
clear?
out in the public.
Is that clear?
He doesn't need permission. It's as long as
He needs my permission to record my voice.
If he's told you and he's in public, then no, he doesn't.
Yes, he does. It's
Sir.
in the law. Sir, listen, if you're here on official
I'm not.
business,
I'm going.
you're authorized by the colonel to
Sir,
be here.
I don't have to be authorized by the colonel to help a citizen. I don't need permission
Well, we're
to do
the
so.
citizens that are protecting our rights.
Right. It's a civil violation, not a criminal violation. So the police have no jurisdiction over civil violations.
Please
You contact
call our
your,
lawyers. The lawyers.
Sir,
it's a
I'm
legal
trying to
matter.
help this man get on his residence,
I
and yes,
understand.
I have every authority on this property as a Maryland State Trooper,
Sir.
and I'm not being employed by Mr. Lucy. He's not paying me right now. He's not paying me at all, nor has he ever paid me, nor is he going to pay me. But as a citizen, he has the right to ask the law enforcement for help, and that's what I'm doing, sir.
I understand.
So-
and I appreciate that. So here's the resolution. Have the colonel contact me. and I
Sir,
think
no,
you've already asked
that's not how this works. My
Well,
colonel
you know
is
what?
not going to
This is
contact you.
private property. This
Okay.
is private property, so we have rights to protect. So just as you're trying to protect his
He
rights,
owns a residence.
I own two residences here.
He owns his private property. You can't prohibit him from
I own
going
shares
onto
in the
his own
corporation.
house.
permitted to go onto his private property. He's not permitted to bring contractors without corporation approval.
Okay, he has a valid permit, correct?
He has a building permit, but that's
So
not
how is it-
sufficient. That's
A
necessary,
building
but not
permit
sufficient.
isn't sufficient?
That's correct.
How's a
That is
building
why
permit
we
not
provided.
sufficient?
That's why we provided a copy of the law to the state superintendent and also to Chief Altamira.
Chief Altamore
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Anne Arundel County.
So we're not really the right ones because we're not lawyers.
Right.
So we're willing to let the chief of police, Superintendent Jones, make a determination.
The state
and then
police don't make determinations in civil matters. That's
Well,
Neither do Anne Arundel
we
County.
have, it's
Neither do the
unambiguous
police.
to us. It's unambiguous to us.
Sir, you
We're on
can't.
private
Sir,
property.
you're
We
breaking
can
the
do-
law by prohibiting this man entering his residence. And
Then
the law
show me
enforcement.
the law, please.
Sir, a man can go to his own house.
We agree.
Right.
You-
And he's got a permit. You can't block him. You file an injunction with a judge. A judge does that. You can't take your own volition and
we-
prohibit him from
please.
entering his residence, sir.
Sir,
You
please.
can't do it. And using the law enforcement to enforce that is illegal.
Sir.
And what I will do is file a formal complaint with licensing division that the law enforcement or the chief, no offense to the chief, but this is a civil violation and you're using law enforcement to enforce it.
Sir, I think this is a legal matter, and we're respectful of the law. We're going to abide by the law.
And go file an injunction, Jim.
You file an injunction. That's what you do.
So-
and then the judge. So in the meantime, sir, you say, okay, this is how I've been harmed civilly, or the corporation's been harmed civilly, and you file an injunction, and the judge will look at your side and his side, and then he has a valid permit. He has property on it here. If it's a corporation, he owns part of it by living here. So you can't do it. And if you want to make this where the formal complaints are filed for law enforcement, he has civil rights that you're prohibiting him from exercising, and you're using law enforcement to prohibit his civil rights. And I'm not. Again, if you want, sir, this will end up in a big mess. You go to court. That's where civil matters are filed. Colonel Jones, myself, I have nothing to do. I don't enforce fines. I don't enforce civil matters, but I do enforce people's civil rights. And right now, his civil rights are being violated, and I will step in to prohibit that from happening.
Well, I will prohibit any contractors that he wants to bring to the gate from crossing the gate.
Sir-
He's permitted to enter. He has that permission. We all agree on that.
Sir, he
But
can bring
does
in
not have
anybody he
permission.
wants
He does
if he
not
has a
have-
valid permit. He doesn't need your permission to be
does.
friends with somebody or
He
bring a
does.
contractor in. He
Sir,
doesn't
if you
need your
read the
permission
law-
for that.
If you read the deeds and agreements. the
Deeds and
covenants
agreements
that-
you changed in 2004, Jim. You said you wouldn't discriminate. You're discriminating. That's what you're doing. The deeds and agreement are invalid. Okay? All the
This is a
discrimination's
matter for
invalid.
lawyers really to sort out.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So we're
So don't
gonna
prohibit-
follow. We're going to follow the laws. We understand it, and we have an inquiry. Into
Your
the
deeds
state
aren't laws,
police.
Jim.
So
So-
we'll wait to hear from the superintendent. We really want to get this settled.
The colonel,
It's
as
good
I
work.
told you, I'm a lieutenant in the state. I'm a commissioned officer in the state police.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
my colonel is not trust me, he's way too busy to be wasting time with this, nor would he. What I'm telling you is that his civil rights are being violated right now, okay? You're prohibiting him from going onto his own property.
We are not. He is permitted to go on
He
his
has a
own
valid
property.
permit. He can do construction
Just
work.
to be clear, he is permitted to go on his own property. He is not permitted to bring contractors to do work without corporation approval. He has not sought that
It's
approval,
interior work,
and he
Jim.
does have- it's
There's
still-
nothing in the deeds that say I can't do interior work. It's interior work. You know
We're
that.
not gonna have- we're
Jim,
not
do you
gonna
want to
have-
bring the deeds out right now? It's interior work. In 1990, do you want me to read the deeds for you? All 75 pages, Jim? It's interior work.
Look, we're
This
not
is
gonna
all,
have this- we're
what
not
you're,
gonna
what
have
you're
this
doing is all in
discussion now.
violation.
We're not going to have this discussion now.
Right. So, file an injunction. The judge will either hear both sides, both your attorneys go. You don't argue that your attorneys argue on your behalf. And then you say, here's how the corporation's been wrong because this activity is going on. You make that documentation, make that argument, and the judge makes an injunction. And then if the injunction's there, then you file, then still the police wouldn't enforce a civil injunction, but then you just go and you sue, and as in civil law, you sue for money. And that's how you get made whole. If the judge determines that's what it is.
Right.
But in the interim, he has a valid permit and he lives on the property and you're using law enforcement to prohibit him from doing that. And that's where it's going to be a problem. But there are contractors on this property, right? There are contractors.
Other contractors are allowed.
Right.
Hundreds
He's
have gone
not
through this
allowed
morning.
because you don't agree with the opinion of the work that's being done. Not you.
It's
sir,
the law
not
that
you.
Steve Shue wrote.
It's a failure. It's a failure to
That's-
observe.
That's civil matter. You can't do it, sir.
He has. Well, we have legal opinions. We've had lawyers.
You
work
just
on
got my legal opinion, and
Well, I
it's a civil
appreciate that.
violation.
I appreciate it.
So you can't. It's civil violation. You can't enforce with blocking gates or blocking personnel. He has a valid permit. The permit's issued by Montgomery or Anne Arundel County. The permit's valid. The permit's legal. You go to court. You say, hey, we told him not to bring the contractors on. He brought the contractors on. His attorney's going to argue his side. Your attorney argue your side, and then you just make a notation that this happened on this date and this date and this date in violation of whatever opinion is that you have, and then the judge makes that determination. But blocking him or his employees
No,
or
no, we're not blocking him. So I know you keep repeating we're blocking him. We are not blocking him.
So-
okay, so will you acknowledge that we are not blocking him?
No, you blocked me this morning. You would not let me on.
No, stop.
No, I'm not going to
asking-
stop.
I'm not speaking to you. I'm speaking to the officer. Sir, tell me, do you understand that we are not stopping Mr. Lucy from going on?
Then let me
his
drive through.
property?
I'll go get my car.
but he can go through in whatever vehicle he wants, correct?
No, if it's a commercial
So
enterprise,
if
there's
he wants to drive a
intent-
commercial motor vehicle and you are going to determine what the intent is of the commercial motor vehicle, he can't do that.
we are not going to allow commercial activity on that property until he goes.
There is no commercial activity. It's
So-
all residential.
so
Permit
that
says
is
it's
commercial.
residential.
That is
Residential
commercial.
being residential.
This is
So-
all an opinion for a judge. Everybody here is missing the entire point. Okay,
Well,
it's a civil matter. If he's having work done on his property, he doesn't need your permission to do it. He needs a permit. If he has a
does need permission.
he doesn't need
Under
your
the-
permission, sir.
He needs the corporation.
No, he doesn't.
So
He
so
needs the corporation.
Three years ago, Aaron Pitts was paid $75,000 by Monaco. She's an architect on this island, living on this island, and she was paid by Monaco because I represent the country of Monaco. Commercial enterprises. Everyone who's having home care, commercial enterprise, in what you're thinking is, this is not a commercial permit. There are people being cared for on here. It is residential. Read the permit, Jim.
So
It's interior
the-
renovation.
the activity is commercial. That is, there are
So- but
there are
that's-
businesses coming onto the island. Vendors, service vehicles, construction equipment.
Everybody else has been allowed on the island, Jim.
So that's correct, because they have gone through the proper.
They have not gone through the process. People come out to do maintenance. Bay Area Mechanical is just
So-
maintaining someone's HVAC unit. They didn't go through any process, Jim. It's not true. None of it's true.
Listen, I think the lawyers need to sort this out.
That's
Right,
fine, but in the
yeah,
meantime, don't stop
Absolutely.
me.
That's why we've reached out to the county, we've reached out to the state to say, here's the law as we understand it.
Right.
Please advise us if that's.
Go get an injunction, Jim.
Right,
So-
there's-
Go to court.
but they're all civil laws, right? There's no, you're not going to be able to use either a gate or any sort of other thing to block him. If he has no right to be on this property, then you'd still have to, you'd call the police, say he's trespassing, you get a letter of trespass, and so on and so forth. But to sit here and say that it's a civil violation that we're going to enforce by either blocking him or his employees or his gate or whatever, You can't do that. You go to court, you do a civil injunction. Clearly everyone here has attorneys, right? That's what the attorneys are for, that's what the judges are for, and that's what the judge and the attorney make that decision.
Good. Well, if you would allow me, I'll contact our lawyers now. I appreciate your making the case. And
yeah, I'm making the case on behalf of his rights, and that's what we're all.
Right.
You file an injunction.
Right.
But no, my attorney, your attorney, anyone's attorney can't. They can interpret the law, they can argue the law, they can argue their point on behalf of their client, but they can't make an opinion that's going to have any enforcement action. Only a judge can do that. Only a judge can make that determination. And then, even if he continues to do something in violation of the judge's order, you bring him back to court, and then the judge makes you whole in civil law with money.
Right.
If that's what the judge determines. Right. But law enforcement we don't have any sway in what a judge does civilly. But if he has a legal right to be here, he has a legal permit, you can't block him or anyone that's coming on here to work based on an attorney's opinion.
We have rights. It doesn't hang on attorney
those rights are not enforceable by law enforcement or by
This is a private island where our police have jurisdiction.
Right, and I have jurisdiction here as well.
Not on the public,
not
on private roads.
You're telling me that if you called the police and it's your house and I were to go inside your house, I wouldn't have any law enforcement jurisdiction?
No, sir.
That's not true.
No, I agree you're correct on that. But there is...
That's private property, someone's house, but I still have jurisdiction.
In what we sent, under the public safety article...
Sir, I know what my authority is.
I'm sure you do, but we've spent time over the weekend to get this right. So our understanding is that the state police do have authority to maintain the safe and orderly flow of traffic on public streets and highways. Emphasis on the word public. Further, we believe that state police have the duty to detect and prevent the commission of crime and maintain the safe and orderly flow of traffic on public streets and highways. These statutory duties do not extend to private property unless in furtherance of law enforcement objectives. That's our understanding. That's why we reached out last evening and also this morning to the state superintendent and also to Anne Arundel County Chief of Police to make sure that's their understanding.
Right. Well, I assure you that I have jurisdiction, and I assure you that if there was any sort of incident on this island, that I would have the appropriate authority to take any sort of action that I deem necessary.
Sir, right. We would want that.
Absolutely. But we're all missing the point here. The point of the matter is this man has a permit, he filed an injunction, and you can make documentation how many commercial motor vehicles are on this property. You can make documentation what is going on at the property. You can do all those things.
They can't trespass, but they can.
Right, but you can't block him. If he's allowing the employees to come on to work on the property, whether you feel it's commercial, he feels it's interior, those are all determinations by a judge to do, not by us as individuals. I don't have the legal